Hi, second graders. Today you're working on lesson 16, publish. Today you're going to be making your final draft of your story. To do that, you're going to need your writing notebook that has your draft inside with all your corrections. And you're also going to need one of the booklets in the back of your yellow folder. The bottom is actually labeled Cycle 2 Final Draft. Now, I did make mine ahead of time because I didn't want you guys to have such a long video to watch. So here is my cover. I gave my story a title. I said Garden Bug, Friend or Foe. Author, Miss Stephanie. I drew a picture, added a little bit of color because the animal is, or the bug was white, but it does have a little bit of a brownish head to it. So I added some color to my picture. And I did do a couple things before I started writing. First, when I went back into my draft, there were a couple words that I had circled so I wasn't sure of the spelling at the time that I was drafting. And I want to try to get the correct spelling before I put that into my final draft. And you have a tool now that can help you with that. This is from our SIPS spelling sound wall cards. And what you could do is, like, for example, the word creatures, I try to sound it out and write down what I heard when I was writing the word down. Like creature, the sound. I can use the wall cards of the to figure out which that would be in the spelling. And so I double checked and it's creatures, creatures. So try to fix your spelling before you make the final draft. Something else that I did before I started my final draft was going back into our yellow folder and looking at the personal narrative checklist just to make sure that I have everything that I need in my story before I make the final draft. So did I use sensory details? Yes, I did. Did I include dialogue or inner thoughts? Oh, quite a bit of it, 'cause I have a lot of inner thoughts in my story. My story has a strong beginning and a strong ending. Yes. I showed character feelings using actions or dialogue and inner thoughts. I tried my best. I used a period, exclamation point, or question mark at the end of every sentence. Yes, I did. That was the editing lesson. And I put quotation marks around dialogue. Yes, that was our dialogue lesson. I used correct capitalization at the beginning of my sentences, for titles of movies, for the word I. Those are the ones that I used in my story. Did I indent my paragraphs in my final draft? I have to remind myself to do that. And then use my neatest handwriting. So, okay. When I start my final draft, I want to make sure that I go slow, take my time, make sure that I get all of these editing marks. I don't want the editing marks in my final draft, so I want to make sure that I do what these editing marks show. Like, I want to make sure these words come first and that I indent. I can use two finger spaces to indent my writing. Okay, so let me show you what that looks like. So here's my story. Just looking at it, look at the difference of that. Oh my goodness, this makes my head hurt just trying to follow along. So I'm glad that it's now in a final draft where everything's nice and neat. Okay, so it starts with creak. My knees cracked as I squatted next to my garden box. I have a paragraph symbol here, so I need to indent. I did. Creak. My knees cracked as I squatted next to my garden box. All right, and then I followed through, going slowly, double checking that I have things where they need to be. For example, for this one, after creatures, it goes to, ew, what are you, I wondered. And that goes into a new paragraph. And I showed that there. So your editing marks don't go into your final draft. This is to help remind you of what to do when you're making your final draft. Okay. So, students, today I want you to fix the spelling of words that you were unsure of when you were drafting. I want you to review the personal narrative checklist and then go slow and use your neatest handwriting while you're copying over your story into your final draft.